Hey guys, it's Coach Fro from RocioFlores.com, and today's topic is how to sound like yourself when you're writing online. So I think this topic is really important because we're all writing stuff online, right? We're just getting on Facebook and just posting the crap out of ourselves. We're just saying what we want, and we want people to hear us. We want people to know what we're talking about, or we want to connect with people. But a lot of the times it's not happening, and it's because we don't sound like ourselves, or we don't sound like real people, or we definitely sound like something else, right? And so we're not conveying the meaning that we think we are, and it's getting in the way of how we connect with people. And so, we learned a whole lot of stuff in school about how to convey meaning, and we use all these literary devices and all these rules about grammar and punctuation and sentence structure and how to make arguments, and then we leave school and it's like, bye-bye. All of that's out the window, and we're in this new world where there are no rules. It's the Wild West. We can use emoticons, and we don't have to use words, and we can just connect with memes. And so all of a sudden, how do you write online? Like, how do you actually talk to people online and convey who you are to the world? So I just want to give you guys a few tips that I think have helped me, and things that I've kind of noticed from other people. None of these are fast rules. None of them are like, this is the way to do it. And I'm sure there are people out there who are getting in on it and writing books about how to do it and creating rules for this world. And who knows, maybe 20 years from now we'll have like textbooks having a whole section on how to write on Facebook and how to like talk through text messaging and how to like, do like short speak and emoticons and all of that, right? So hopefully we'll learn more as this new technology emerges. But for now, I think these things can help you. Before I get started, I do want to ask you guys to subscribe to my monthly newsletter. I share all the posts that I've done throughout the month on there, and then I also talk about what's going on in my life through that month, what I've learned, and how that can relate to your own personal journey. And when you sign up, you also get an email full of downloads and freebies that I've written and created for you to use in your own world. So make sure that you get on there. I will put the link below. All right, so the first one I want to say is, if you have something to say it out loud first, right? Listen to yourself and how it sounds, because that will give you a good understanding of how to write it and what to emphasize and what not to emphasize, and where you sound angry and where you sound happy and where you naturally kind of giggled and where you maybe heard it differently in your head, or if it sounds different than how you actually say it, and you kind of get an understanding of what you say and how you say it. That way you can use that to then form a really good writing. So the next part of that is, say those things to somebody else and kind of hear their reactions. So like, usually before I write something down, before I create a post, I've already been talking about it, thinking about it. It's something that has been on my mind for a few days or a few weeks, and I'm talking to my husband about it, and I'll say something, and he's just kind of like doesn't react at all. And I'm just like, do you get what I'm talking about? And he's like, nope. And so I kind of have to be like, I don't think that concept is, I'm not using the right words to explain it, or I'm not, it's not coming off the way I'm trying to explain it, or I'm not using I'm not saying it the right way. And so by seeing how other people react to it and recognizing like this person who doesn't know what I'm talking about isn't understanding me. So if I said it this way, would they understand me? And then you recognize that if you say things differently or you use different words, what you're saying is conveyed better. And so it's sort of like practicing, because it's sort of like writing a speech, but you're posting it online for other people to read. And obviously a lot of us maybe don't care, and you're just going to write whatever you want to write. Okay, but if you're having some sort of aim, or you're trying to inspire people, or you're trying to motivate action, or you're trying to sell, or you're trying to connect, or you're trying to do whatever it is you're trying to do, what you say matters. So practice it first, and then use what you hear as feedback from yourself, from your own mind, from your voice, from other people around you. Use that to then structure what you're writing. The next point would be to then, now knowing, right? So now like, I tend to take a space between this word and this word. Use punctuation to help you create that illusion in your writing. And this is where the freedom comes in, because in traditional writing, like if you're writing an essay, like personally, I'm like writing a post and I'll write like 5, 6, 7 ... because it means something to me. You don't do that in a formal essay. 3 dots means one thing, 4 dots means another thing, and there's all these rules about how punctuation works and what it does. Well, when you're on Facebook and you can't underline things and you can't, you the meaning behind punctuation is different, and it changes what you're saying in a different way than formal writing. And you have a lot of freedom. So if you want to use a dash to separate two concepts or to point towards another concept, I use like the little arrow, and I create like a little arrow. Like I'm saying this so that you can kind of see that I'm pointing to this topic, right? Like this leads to this. But if I use dots, I'm making you think, like dot, 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 you know, I'm making you forcibly take a pause right here before you can read the next part, or using spacing, right? So you're starting a brand new concept, or you're creating a list of concepts, and so you create a list. You use dots, or you use little points, or use little hearts, something to create a whole new section, and that really helps with just it cuts the line of reading, right? So first and foremost, people are more likely to read what you wrote if it's not in a big block, right? I personally dislike that Instagram kind of blocks things together, and so you have to really purposely put like something in there to create a new like paragraph, or else it'll just look like a block. Facebook's a little bit better at allowing you to kind of be free with that, but it helps to just recognize where that if people see the giant block, they're not going to read it because it just looks like it's a lot. But if they read a sentence, because your brain automatically reads that sentence, right? So they're like scrolling, like, oh, now they're hooked because they're like, wait, I want to know what it says next. Oh, I want to know what it says next. It's just a page. It's just a sentence. It's just a word. It's just a little list. I want to see if I relate. And so then they just keep going at it, right? And so use punctuation, use spacing, and grammar rules to help you with that, right? Like, a lot of people don't use grammar, and it makes a difference. First and foremost, if you use the wrong word or some punctuation on a word, you're going to get chewed out by somebody online because they care about it. So try to be, when you can, use the right punctuation so they don't think you're dumb. Also, use periods, use commas. They're there for a reason. They're how you communicate that you took a pause, or that you're still in the same sentence and the same concept. And if you're not using these things, it just sounds like one big giant like word that doesn't make sense. Like you're like, wait, who, what? And then sometimes people forget to put spaces between words, or they like their phone didn't automatically do it, or I don't know if they accidentally forgot and they like, I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense. And so it makes more sense to just reread it and make sure that you have punctuation first where it should be, and then to accentuate what you're saying. On the next note, use emoticons. They're there for a reason. So I try not to use emoticons when I can use words and punctuation, because some people still have like older phones, or Android versus iPhone, whatever, and so some of them don't translate, and it might, if it's a really important topic, a really important word, you don't want to just use a drawing that may not be shown to the person, they miss the whole meaning. Instead, I use the word and then use the little picture. Or like if you're trying to be sassy, so you do that little like clapping hands, or you're like, yeah, or use those to accentuate what you're saying, to add a little bit of extra emphasis. If you laughed at a part in your writing, add a little laugh face, like, because then people are like, oh, she's not like incredibly serious, like she's laughing at this point too. And then it gives people a sense of what you're feeling as you're writing and what you're saying, so that it's kind of like nonverbal communication, right? You're not just saying what you're saying. Like, I'm not just saying this, I am saying this, right? I'm saying this, and I'm smiling, and my hands are moving, and I'm being, I'm showing you how I feel about it. And so you kind of have to do that same thing, but in your writing. So add little clappy hands, or go like this, or little running man. I don't know. There's so many things. I don't know what they're called. But use that, and it's okay to spend time looking for them. It's okay to use the same ones often. Again, people are going to like what they like. There's people who are like, no, certain people shouldn't. If you want to look serious, you don't want to use emoticons. I'm like, whatever. You're on Facebook. Like, you're already kind of not that serious. So just do whatever sounds like you and feels right to you. Also, don't fake it. I see a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, hustling 100, and then they put all these like cool looking money, and like and it's like the post isn't even about that, or it just sounds weird, and it doesn't sound like them, and they don't say anything that matters. And so again, that may connect with certain people, but it doesn't connect with me. And so you got to recognize that what you post on there is going to affect how people see you and what they're hearing you say. And then I think this is a huge one that I wish more people talked about and more people cared about, and more people emphasized. But read, write, learn. Just because you're out of school doesn't mean that you're done reading for the rest of your life, that you're done writing for the rest of your life, or that you're done learning. Like, every single day, you are able to engage your brain. One, reading is going to help you with learning new words, new concepts, new ideas. It's going to help you understand how other people structure what they're saying. You know, if you read something that's very informational, you're like, wow, they just said what they needed to say and I understood it. If you read something that's a little more beautiful and like poetry wise, you're like, wow, like they used these words and they made it sound, I saw it, you know. And you keep learning, and while you're writing, you actually get to see like, oh, I can use this word here, or it'd be better if I use this other word, or I should do this or this, and it gets easier so that when you want to say something important in the moment, you know how to convey what you're trying to say. You know words, you know how to use them, you know what doesn't work, what does work, and how to do it, because you have it in practice. It's part of who you are. You don't have to post everything you write in the moment if you're not ready, but get in the habit of writing, and then later on you read it and you're like, wow, this really makes sense. I really want to post this. I really want to share this with the world. So make a habit of reading, writing, and learning. Just make it a part of your life. And then the last point, it kind of goes into this point of, you know, learning and reading often. Follow people that you like. You know, follow people who are actively putting out content and you're engaged by it. You know, so I follow several people that I'm like, every single time they post something, I'm like, I want to read it. It's just something about the way it sounds like they're speaking to me. It sounds like they're real people. It sounds like they really care about what they're saying, and like it sounds. That's another part of it. It's not just something I'm looking at. It sounds. I can hear it in my mind. I can engage with it. I can feel from it. And the more people you have like that in your network, the more you'll first and foremost have better ideas, better ways to formulate concepts. You'll be able to have a voice as well yourself. And you're getting you're seeing that it's possible to do this. You're seeing that if other people can speak up and share who they are and share their truth with the world, you can do it too. It also helps to follow, I'm sorry if you're on the older end of the spectrum and you don't really care to see dumb kids saying dumb things. I get that. But it's the new generation, those that are way younger than me. They're creating the rules. It's not our rules. It's not our parents' rules. Like, you guys the older generation created the rules for like formal writing. The newer generation creates the rules for today. So the new acronyms, the new words, the new emoticons, the new ways, like a lot of what's said online is not just the definition of the word. You know, if people use a term and it has a meaning. So get yourself very well acquainted with online dictionaries that will explain what people are talking about, because a lot of you are like, what in the world is my brother saying? Like, I have no idea what he's talking about. So I have to Google it and be like, Urban Dictionary is a great place to like be like, oh, I really wish I hadn't read that. But it also just keeps you up to date with pop culture. It keeps you up to date with how people speak, with how people, because yes, you could be very careful and just write very formally, because then nobody can misinterpret what you say.